So, drawing the handsome Brad Peachy. I start by making a transfer. So right now I am tracing and outlining all darks, lights, lines in the face, the hair, pretty much just the direction the hair goes, the folds in the clothes. And there's the stencil. I like to trace it with a like a goldenrod sort of color, so that if I forget a little line here and there, it'll sort of match skin tones, hopefully. And then I start at a different place every time I do a portrait. I don't know why I really started with his forehead, but I just apply sort of layer after layer and build it up. Skin tone is interesting because it's not just one color, it's many layers and layers of color. So it's definitely a process of building the color up. And I try to layer in the colors when they're wet. So working really quickly with these fast drying pens is a challenge. Eyes are interesting. I tweak the eyes a lot. Oh, and that was really, look at how fast I did that face. Okay, so, all right, here we go. Gotta get rid of that big shadow by his nose. That thing is hideous. So this was day 2 because the camera malfunctioned. So I'm coming back into the portrait, making sure not to over whiten teeth or eyes. Like if you put in white on the eye, it's gonna look sort of flat and false. So make sure with teeth and eyes I don't know, I always like to put in like a gray or bluish tone to them and then go in later and highlight with white. I use my fingers a lot to blend. Every now and then I'll use a brush. But I think fingers, especially the chalk pens, work really well because you can touch really lightly and make sure that you're keeping the color where it is and not over smearing it. Facial hair is terrible. It's one of my least favorite things to draw, and he had kind of a lot of it. It's really frustrating actually for me, so I just have to keep working it until it looks right. I went in and put highlights in. The highlights, I think, really kind of bring it to life. Highlights on the skin, in the hair, on the eyes and teeth, sort of make a person look alive instead of flat. I like to use the black as sort of like a blender for the pens. So on his shirt, I'm going to go in and color it in with black, and then I bring the blue in and sort of smear it with my finger or a brush to pull it into the black to give it a little bit of a cloth look to it, sort of soften it up. As I'm looking at this right now, I still see 100 things that I could fix, but when you're doing a chalk drawing for the store, you sort of have to let go of a little bit and just make sure that when you stand back and look at it from a distance, that's usually what customers are going to be doing, that it reads what you're trying to say. And portraits, I think, fall along those lines as well. So just get in what absolutely needs to be there in the time constraint that you have, and stand back and look at it a lot, because when I'm too close, especially to a portrait, I get sort of lost in it, and taking a step back and looking at where the highlights need to be and looking at your reference material again and again just to make sure you're putting shadows in right is I think key. So I'm just doing a bunch of highlights and I think I'm pretty much done. Oh, fixing the beard. Highlights on the shirt. Yay, that's Brad.